Another key aspect that differentiates Acts 1 and 2 involves the lead melody's rhythmic relationship to the beat. For that opening tremolo section of Act 1, notice how we have a steady beat of 4 quarter notes per measure, and each time we go to a new note of the tremolo sequence, it lines up directly on top of a beat, for a matching framework of peaceful orderliness that's suitable for Act 1's calm normalcy. The climbing notes here are the 5th, 6th, and 7th, spanning the space of a measure. Now, in Act 2, we see the same sequence of ascending notes, 5th, 6th, 7th, but we climb up to that 7th a lot more promptly, already arriving just halfway through the measure, since with all the fiery chaos going on, we can't just proceed at a leisurely pace anymore. And notice how this time around, not all of the note changes line up directly atop beats. This is because the lead melody here is structured on increments of 3 instead of 4, represented here by segmenting them into equally sized cubes. The lead melody and the core beat are at odds with each other, each marching to the pulse of different drummers, which accurately reflects the disorder brought about by Robotnik's fiery assault. This mismatch is a good example of rhythmic dissonance, which 8-Bit Music Theory talked about in his video on Knuckles Chaotix. He couldn't have said it better when he explained that by putting 2 or more rhythmic layers at odds with each other, it creates a musical friction that's inherently interesting to listen to. And we see the composer go to town with this concept in section A2. What we don't know for sure is the identity of the Angel Island composer. Q Jimbo points out in his Sonic 3 Michael Jackson overview video that Angel Island's music was featured on the Sonic 10th Anniversary CD, and if you take the list of credited composers and do some deduction, you arrive at Tomonori Sawada, whose composer credits also includes the Sonic 3 title screen song. And although there are some reasons to be suspect of the accuracy of the credits in the 10th Anniversary CD, we can still rule out Michael Jackson's team entirely because Angel Island's music was included in Sonic Mania, and there's no way Sega would have included it in a game as late as 2017 unless they had the full rights to it. If Sawada was the composer and was hoping for his piece to make an impactful first impression, he must have been disappointed when Act 2's music got such a sloppy implementation. For starters, during Act 1, if you go into certain special stages or bonus stages, when you come out, the game incorrectly plays the Act 2 music. The reason for this oversight has to do with Sonic 3's feature of seamless act transitions. In Sonic 1 and 2, when you finished Act 1 of a zone, the screen faded to black and Act 2 loaded up separately. But in Sonic 3, you just seamlessly proceed into Act 2 with uninterrupted grace. In most levels, the Act 2 map is loaded up while you're standing still during the results screen. But in Angel Island, the transition to the Act 2 map happens at a moment in time prior to arriving at the end area. It actually occurs during this mini-boss teaser cutscene partway through Act 1. The Act 2 map is loaded up during this fiery overlay, a veil of sorts to hide the Act map transition occurring underneath. You proceed as the player through the remainder of Act 1, but from that point on, the game's code refers to the map you're on as Act 2. So if you go into a special or bonus stage, when you come out, the game thinks, okay, what act are we in? Act 2? Alright, play the Act 2 music. Oops. Interestingly, they partially fixed this in Sonic 3 and Knuckles by hard-coding a command for Act 1's music into this particular star post. And yet they left this issue unfixed for this special stage ring, even though it's like right there. But when it comes down to it, this mistake actually serves the game's narrative by launching into the more serious, minor-keyed vibes of Act 2 right after the fiery mini-boss cutscene. It just doesn't make sense to witness this arson firestorm turning a lush paradise into a burnt wasteland, but then just abruptly launch back into the cheerful, good times of Act 1's music. Then, when Act 2's music makes its official debut when it's actually supposed to, it gets interrupted not even 10 seconds into the level, because the stage's architecture basically forces you to enter this special stage, cutting off the Act 2 song before Section A is even done. It's understandable why the developers would want to do this. It guarantees that first-time players understand as of level 1 how to access special stages, and it makes them aware of the different gameplay mode they contain. But wow, if the composer of Act 2's music was hoping for an epic debut, they must have been disappointed to see the orchestra launch into the song prematurely in Act 1, only to have it later be interrupted a short amount into Act 2. When Act 2 finally gets its full debut, Section C includes a different use of tremolos. In the intro of the song, we saw tremolos that alternated between 2 notes, but here we see examples of single-note tremolos that just rattle away on a single note at a time. And some sharp listeners may have noticed another interesting nugget. Remember the Endless Mine rhythmic motif? Well, Angel Island features a fragment of it, lopping off the last chunk to have a tremolo take that space instead. When humming along to this song, this melody line is probably the one you hum out loud, but there's a separate melody occurring simultaneously, one of the song's many unsung heroes. It too contains the Endless Mine rhythmic fragment right here. Listening to this other melody line in isolation, courtesy of Carpathia 808, shows what a gorgeous but chilling melody it is, adding layered depth to the unfortunate destruction of Angel Island's splendor at the hands of Robotnik. Oh, the despair, the melancholy. After listening to that, there might not be anything in the world that can cheer us up and bring our spirits back to health. Actually, we're maybe gonna be alright. I'm up to season 3 of The Sopranos, really loving it so far. And how about that bass? When it comes to the music theory of Marble Garden, well, it is all about that bass, but there's a variety of other interesting aspects to discover throughout as well. Marble itself is a substance extremely conducive to producing an echo, and Marble Garden follows suit by using an echo effect on its main melodies. Now, nowadays, with fancy music editing software, audio effects for echo and reverb are just a click away. But this wasn't the case for the early 90s hardware limitations of the Sega Genesis. The best they could do was this. Here's the main melody, and then they devoted an entire separate audio channel to just copy and paste the same notes of the first instrument, and then they nudged it forward by a quarter note to achieve the delayed echo effect. It's easier to comprehend this effect by visual waveform. Thankfully, YouTube user Carpathia 808 makes excellent videos which isolate instruments to display them as oscilloscope waves. So for Marble Garden, in this box is the lead melody and the delay echo is here. And let's talk about that bass. In Act 1, the bass alternates between a measure of full, quick jabs followed by a measure of little to no activity. While Act 1's bass deploys quick stab notes throughout, Act 2 makes it a point to elongate some of the notes to let them ring. The first measure of bass silence in Act 1 gets filled up in Act 2, although the second is still preserved. This bass line is a big source of theories about exactly who wrote the Marble Garden song, theories that have undergone multiple revisions as new information gradually emerges. For a while, many considered this song to be the product of Michael Jackson's team, that is, Michael himself and the musicians he brought on board to assist. The song has a funky flavor that exudes a Jackson vibe. Among the team, Brad Buxer specifically was identified as a possible composer. You may already know that Ice Cap Zone's music was revealed to be a reworking of an unreleased song called Hard Times by Brad Buxer's band, The Jetsons. So this confirmation lends validity to the possibility that the Marble Garden song could be some manifestation of another unreleased Jetsons song called When the Sun Goes Down, as pointed out by Ben2K9. Notice how both songs start with a first measure that is super busy on the bass, followed by a measure of total silence, and then cranking right back into the bass again. Both Marble Garden and When the Sun Goes Down have bass melodies that start on the tonic, then make abrupt hops up to touch upon the octave and the minor seventh. And when bridging these two bass phrases together, both songs do so with a distinctive doo-doo-doo. Now, all this evidence together is pretty seductive, but this theory was somewhat upended in 2014 when Sega composer Miyoko Takaoka stated that she composed the Marble Garden's own song as well as a bonus stage. But even this claim in itself is a little shaky because a fan provided Takaoka with links to the bonus stage themes, and she replied, "Oh, actually I guess they didn't end up using the bonus stage song that I wrote." And unfortunately, she wasn't also shown the Marble Garden song for a similar confirmation, so there isn't a clear-cut verdict there. But even still, there's a couple more bits of strong evidence that point towards composition by someone on Sega's team instead of Jackson's. First of all, Marble Garden's music wasn't replaced in the Sonic & Knuckles collection on PC, but meanwhile all of Jackson's confirmed songs were replaced on the PC. This suggests that Sega had the rights to Marble Garden's music since their own staff wrote it. The other compelling correlation involves the nature of the Act 2 remix. See, all of Michael Jackson's songs have a minimalist, borderline lazy approach to their Act 2 remixes. That's not to say that they're bad, just that they didn't require much effort, or at the very least were the result of rushed time constraints. They basically take the Act 1 song and just strip away instruments or move them around for a more minimalist feel.
3, 2, 1, go! Three, two, one, go!